Okay, let's dive in. We've got a stack of source material here today, really focusing squarely on business planning.
Yeah, the essentials.
Exactly. Think of this deep dive as unpacking that blueprint, what it actually is, and maybe more importantly, why it's, the foundation for building something that lasts.
Hmm.
Our mission. Basically, to cut through the noise from these sources and pull out the really important bits for you.
Sounds good.
So, right off the bat, these sources tackle that big question. What is business planning, actually?
It's more than just scribbling ideas, right?
Definitely. The way these sources frame it, it's this critical process. You define your core goals, yes, but then you meticulously chart the course, the specific steps to get there.
Right, like identifying your market precisely.
Exactly. Who are you selling to? Setting real financial targets. Nailing down your overall strategy. It covers everything.
Which naturally leads to the next question.
Why bother? I mean, why go through all that effort? Why is it so, well, non-negotiable according to these sources?
Well, what's really interesting here is how the sources stress it's not just about the document itself. It's about forcing clarity, alignment.
Ah, okay. Forced clarity. I like that.
Yeah. A solid plan gives clear direction, not just for the founder, but for the whole team. It makes everyone answer those fundamental questions.
Like what specifically?
Like, what problem are we actually solving here? Who are our customers, really? How does the money actually work? And crucially, how are we planning to grow? The sources point out this stuff isn't always obvious until you, well, try to write it down.
Okay, that focus on forcing clarity on the mechanism of the business, that's a really key takeaway already. It pulls you out of just having vague ideas.
Precisely. And if you look at the bigger picture the sources paint, this clarity becomes absolutely vital when you need, say, funding.
Ah, investors and loans.
Exactly.
Right.
They aren't just looking at your passion, are they? They're testing your logic. Your plan, the sources argue, is basically the main tool they use to figure out the risk versus the potential reward. It's your credibility laid bare.
Makes sense. It shows you thought it through.
And it also helps you spot trouble before it hits. The sources make a strong case that thinking through your operations, your market, all that stuff up front, it lets you identify potential big challenges
And plan for them.
and plan for them. Big solutions right into the strategy from the start. They call it active risk management, not just crossing your fingers.
Okay, so clarity, credibility, risk management. What else?
Well, there's the feedback loop. This is vital. The sources are really clear. A plan isn't something you write and forget. It's a benchmark.
A benchmark. How so?
It gives you something solid to measure your actual results against.
Yeah.
So you can see really clearly where things are working and where you need to adjust. It's the difference between us drifting along and actually steering the ship.
Steering with data, basically. Okay, so we get the what and the really powerful why from these sources. Let's pivot then. How is this blueprint actually, structured? What does it look like?
Yeah, the practical side. The source material breaks down the key pieces, the sections that usually make up a comprehensive plan.
Right.
They present it as like building blocks that tell the whole story. It usually starts with the executive summary.
Oh, a quick overview.
Kind of, but the sources stress it's maybe the most critical part. It needs to grab attention fast, convey the whole business idea, the goals, what makes it unique, all in a really tight snapshot.
Right, the elevator pitch on paper. Then you lay the groundwork with the company description.
Exactly. Background, what the business actually does, its mission, its values, the core identity.
And alongside that, you need the market analysis.
Oh, absolutely crucial. And the sources say this is more than just, listing who your competitors are.
So it's deeper.
Much deeper. Really understanding the industry, finding those specific gaps in the market, and getting like a forensic focus on your target audience. Who are they? What do they need? Where do you find them?
Getting super specific on the who. Okay. Next, the sources mention organization and management.
Yeah, the structure, legal setup, but maybe more importantly, who's running the show, the experience, the roles of the key people. Investors apparently look really hard at this.
The team matters. Makes sense.
Duh.
And then what you're actually selling.
Right, the products or services section. What is it? What's its unique value? How does it specifically help that customer you just identified? They often tie this right back to that market gap we mentioned.
Connecting the solution to the need.
Right.
And then how you make that connection happen.
That's the marketing and sales strategy. How are you going to reach those customers? How will you turn interest into actual sales? The tactics.
Got it. And finally, the numbers.
Ah, yes, the financial plan. Often where the rubber meets the road, as they say. The sources spend a lot of time here. Startup costs, detailed income projections, expense forecasts.
The break-even point, too, right?
Definitely. They call it the survival threshold in some sources, and clearly stating how much funding you need, if any. This whole section is framed as the ultimate reality check for everything else in the plan.
Looking at how those pieces fit together, you really see how it builds from the big idea down to the dollars and cents. It does create a complete picture following their structure.
It really does. And just understanding these different parts, whether you're writing a plan yourself or just trying to, get a handle on a business you're reading about, it gives you such a powerful framework, a structured way to think about how value gets created.
And sustained. So let's leave you with a final thought. Drawing from these sources again, they keep coming back to this idea of the plan being, well, alive, essential for measuring things, for adjusting course.
The adjustment part is key.
Totally. So consider this. How could that same structured thinking, setting a clear goal, mapping out the steps, figuring out how to measure progress, and importantly, expecting to make adjustments along the way, how could that apply to any big project in your life?
Not just business, you mean?
Right. Achieving a big personal goal, maybe, or tackling a complex creative project, even navigating a major life change. How much more effective could you be if you applied this kind of disciplined blueprint thinking, something to mull over?